Well, good morning. This is Ian R. Crane. It's the morning of Friday, 22nd of June, 2018. And for the last time this week, I'm in one of my favourite spots in the southwest of the country, just in the lee of Hay Tor, here on the southeastern corner of Dartmoor. I'm about 1,400 feet or so above sea level. Beautiful views across the English Channel this morning. In fact, it seems as though it's really just about a mile or so away, when in reality I think it's about 10 or 12 miles away. Stunning scenery, and of course at this time of the morning you pretty much have it to yourselves. Although the 21st century is creeping very much into Dartmoor, because I see now for the first time the car parks are pay and display. So unfortunately, life's pleasures are all starting to get a bit costly. Well, the title of this morning's broadcast is Fracking Beneath Mines. What could possibly go wrong? Well, of course, nothing goes wrong if you're able to descend into cognitive dissonance and, of course, dehumanize those who are affected by this activity. And what we see with this industry, the unconventional gas industry, is sociopathic terminology that enables those who are involved to effectively distance themselves from the inhumanity of what it is they are proposing to do. So they don't talk about people being affected by the industry. They talk about receptors of noise pollution, receptors of water pollution, receptors of air pollution. And this is the same psychology used by the military to demonize the enemy. So, that's why we have words in our vocabulary which are probably no longer politically correct, such as Hun and Jerry and Nip and Raghead. So, all of these terms enter into the military vernacular to effectively enable the military personnel to distance themselves from the fact that they are potentially taking another human life. And the way in which the unconventional gas industry comes to terms with what it does is it simply talks about receptors. So the moment that you hear anybody use the term receptor, you know that you are listening to a sociopath. And if you want to see a sociopath in action, then you probably need just to go along to Chesterfield Public Library and witness the ongoing a public inquiry into INEOS's application to establish a test well at Marsh Lane. And of course, once these words do enter into the industry vernacular, then of course they're adopted right across the board. And the reality is that you couldn't really be on the payroll of these companies unless you were able to enter into a state of cognitive dissonance, where you are able to actually deny that you are having any negative impact on anyone else. And you're able to justify that because you need the salary check. And of course we see this as well, with the police. We know that a lot of the police are extremely distraught at being utilized to force this industry through, when they know that the public are vehemently against it. And unfortunately, of course, the police also try to dehumanize the protectors in their briefings. And we know, because we have been told firsthand by the police in South Yorkshire, that when they are discussing the anti-fracking protests, they are effectively being told that this is a strata of society that actually shouldn't have a place. These are the ne'er-do-wells. These are the dropouts. And actually, nothing could be further from the truth. The vast majority of the people who have dedicated themselves to trying to protect this country from the pernicious industries such as unconventional gas are actually extremely well educated, have in many cases paid their debt to society. They have led full lives, and they have contributed in many cases senior roles in the public and private sector, and should perhaps be enjoying a retirement. But no, they have decided that they have to step up to the plate, because they recognize that there are many people in their younger years who would like to be doing what they're doing but can't, because they are locked in to the debt slavery to be able to literally maintain a roof over the head and food on the table. So those of us that have had the luxury of having a family or families, and now have that sort of freedom, if you like, to be able to choose how we spend our time. And rather than being on the golf course, we feel it's appropriate to stimulate people's curiosity to actually look at what is occurring. I'd love to spend more time walking these beautiful moors, especially on days like today with beautiful clear blue skies, an increasing rarity, sadly. But anyway, let's take a look at how the receptors responded at the INEOS hearing yesterday. And one of the concerns that was raised was about the waste that is going to be taken from this well site. And it has been alleged that the waste will be dealt with locally, but there's no specifics, there's no maximum limit, and of course there's no explanation of how the waste will be dealt with, and what will happen with the end product. How will it be disposed of? And of course we know that Quadrilla back in 2011 used United Utilities to treat their waste, and actually the level of toxicity was beyond the capability and capacity of United Utilities, and so they did the best they could, and then surreptitiously dumped some 2 million gallons of fluid into the Manchester Ship Canal without any further oversight. And then the industry wonders why it is that they're under such scrutiny. They wonder why it is that the general public want such a level of detail, and they're not prepared to just say, don't worry, we've got it covered. We're not interested in hearing these kind of palliatives. We want chapter, line and verse, because this industry and those who lead it have proven themselves to be effectively not deserving of public trust. Now, one of the contributors to the hearing yesterday was the former local Labour MP, Harry Barnes. And he made the observation, he said he's extremely concerned that the INEOS well site is very close to 2 former mine entrances. Well, it must have almost been a comedic moment when Henry Steele, the INEOS legal representative, responded by making the observation that the Coal Authority had stated that there is no mine entrance within 20 metres of the well site. 20 metres? Well, I would consider that to be close. Yet apparently INEOS, in their amazing capability for cognitive dissonance, consider that 20 metres is a significant distance between the well site and a mine entrance. And of course the mines of the East Midlands and the north of England, right across that central belt, were mined extensively for over 2 centuries. And whilst the Coal Authority has pretty accurate records, it doesn't have detailed records. And, this was brought to my attention way back in 2013 when I was doing the Fractured Future tour. And a geologist who had spent his entire working life with the National Coal Board brought along some of the drawings that he'd managed to salvage before the mines were closed. And he said, this is the best we've got, but it's not regarded as 100% accurate because not all of the mine workings were shown. So, first of all, there's an intention to drill in extremely close proximity to former mine workings. But Harry Barnes also made the observation about methane emissions, rogue methane emissions from the mine workings. And actually spoke of a situation where not only been subsidence, or subsidence if you prefer, but there had also been a need to demolish 6 properties because they had become uninhabitable due to the methane leaching from the mine workings out into the surface. Now, we do know, of course, that there are areas of the country where the methane leaches naturally. There's an area, I believe, in southeast Cheshire, which is known to be unusable as building land, at least at the moment. I'm sure at some future date that'll all be forgotten and somebody will build some properties. But at the moment, it's considered to be unusable because of natural methane leakage, not even associated with former mine workings. But here, and of course, we have to take into account the cumulative effect. And the industry, certainly, and the government keep trying to say, no, it's, just look at this, it's only one well. But of course, this is not the intention. You don't make an application to drill an exploratory well unless you have every intention of fracking that well. And you don't make an application to frack a single well unless you have the intention of establishing a network of wells right across your licensed area. And of course, Quadrilla, a few years ago, had a table on their website which showed the prospective return from a development with 80, 100 or 120 well sites across their licensed area. And we know, of course, from all around the world that basically nobody drops a single well to exploit unconventional hydrocarbons because it's just not viable. Basically, it's a Ponzi scheme, and you've got to keep drilling, you've got to keep fracking, and basically, eventually, you either go bankrupt, well, you do go bankrupt, or you just close down and walk away like Link Energy did, or tried to do, in Australia. So, what could possibly go wrong? And, coupled with which, within the Marsh Lane vicinity, it also transpires that there is a local airfield, and within 400 metres of the well site are some holiday cottages. Now, it does seem that there is a potential market for holiday homes on the edge or very close to a well site. And in North Yorkshire, I think I've referenced this a few times, but just south of Pickering, on the former Pickering Showground, there are 2 major holiday home developments, and they are either side of a Third Energy gas pad. So once upon a time, the centerpiece of a holiday park was a swimming pool. But apparently, in the mid-21st century, the intent is to promote the attraction of the center of a holiday park being a gas pipe. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And no doubt that, these gas sites will be screened. Oh no, because then they've got to have 5G and they can't have trees in the way. So what are they going to do? This dystopian nightmare just continues to unfold. The good news is that an increasing number of people obviously are taking an interest. And, even if you're only watching this out of sort of partial curiosity, then the least I can do is encourage you to do your own research. Because you may be watching this thinking this guy is absolutely full of it. Well, maybe. But go and check it out for yourselves, because that way then you can come to your own realization of whether what I'm saying is a bunch of crap, or whether I'm actually trying to raise these concerns that an increasing number of people have had, particularly in areas that are being targeted by the unconventional gas industry, which they know and actually address as sacrifice zones. And if you have the misfortune to be a receptor who has the misfortune to reside within a sacrifice zone, then my counsel is to start taking an interest in what's occurring sooner rather than later. The industry and the government does not want you, me, or anyone else to participate in the process. They simply want your vote, and then they simply want you to crack on with your lives and spend every hour God send earning enough to keep the bailiffs away from your door, and enable them the freedom to just do whatever the hell they want to do. Well, we are very much on the cusp here, and basically this country is going to go one way or the other, and we're going to see which way that trajectory is taking very, very soon. We either participate and re-establish a democracy where local opinion, local government actually has a say in what occurs, or it is simply exposed as the total charade that it's appearing to be right now, where local opinion only matters if that local opinion happens to coincide with the view of central government. Any dissent will be shut down, will be dismissed, and will be overridden. And the receptors will just have to lump it, because they're going to find themselves living in a gas fields. Unless we elect to participate in whatever way, shape or form that we can. Now I'm heading back north later today, and I shall be spending the next couple of days finalising my bundle to submit to the courts and to Quadrilla in the challenge against their attempt to establish an extremely far-reaching injunction, and they're looking for it to be put in place for 2 years. And this is going to certainly be a seminal hearing in many, many respects. And I'd just like to finish today by saying thank you so much to all those people who have contributed over the last few days to the crowdfunding campaign. It has enabled us and given us the freedom to put everything that we wanted to put into the bundles, because we haven't had to worry about the printing costs. Our bundles run to, I think, something in excess of 1,000 pages, and we have to produce 8 sets by Monday afternoon and get them to the courts and to Quadrilla's legal team. And then they've got a couple of weeks to look through our evidence and vice versa, and then we'll be back in the courtroom in the Manchester Civil Courts in front of Judge Pelling on the 10th and 11th of July. So if you are anywhere in the northwest of England, or anywhere in the north of England, and you are interested in seeing how Quadrilla and the establishment respond to the observations of those who are concerned about the way in which this industry behaves, then Manchester Civil Courts, 10th, 11th of July. But I'm not going to be giving a live stream on Monday, because as I say, that is the final day for preparation of these bundles. But I will be back on Tuesday morning at 8:30 from a location I know not where. But I'll see you on Tuesday morning. Meanwhile, have a great weekend, and let's just hope this beautiful weather holds for a while longer. You take care now.